Halloween, a time for candy, costumes, and harmless fun. But for some, the night of October 31st brought horrors that weren't part of any costume. A college student abducted on a bright Halloween morning. A college student abducted on a bright Halloween morning. And a socialite's nephew who allegedly got away with murder for 27 years. These are the true crimes that prove the real monsters are the people living right next door. Halloween, a time for candy, costumes, and harmless fun. But for some, the night of October 31st brought horrors that weren't part of any costume. The stories you're about to hear aren't legends or campfire tales. They are disturbingly true. These events remind us that sometimes the real monsters are the people living right next door. Our first story takes us back to Halloween night, 1974, in Pasadena, Texas. 8-year-old Timothy O'Bryan was out trick-or-treating with his father, Ronald, his sister Elizabeth, and a friend. It was a typical Halloween adventure, going door to door, their bags slowly filling with candy. At one house, no one answered the door. The kids ran ahead to the next house, but Ronald lingered behind for a moment. He later caught up with them, holding 5 21-inch Pixy Stix, claiming the residents had finally come to the door and given them to him. He handed one to each of the children and another to a boy from his church. Later that night, before bed, Timothy asked for a piece of his Halloween candy. His father helped him choose one, the giant Pixy Stix. Timothy complained it tasted bitter, so his father gave him some Kool-Aid to wash it down. Within moments, Timothy began to vomit and convulse violently. He died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. An autopsy revealed the horrifying truth. The top 2 inches of the Pixy Stix had been laced with a fatal dose of cyanide. Police frantically tried to track down the other 4 Pixy Stix. Miraculously, none of the other children had eaten the poisoned candy. The investigation quickly turned towards Timothy's own father, Ronald Clark O'Bryan. It was discovered that O'Bryan was over $100,000 in debt and had recently taken out large life insurance policies on both of his children. His story about the mysterious neighbor who handed him the candy fell apart under scrutiny. No one in the neighborhood could corroborate his claim. Ronald O'Bryan, who became known as the Candyman and the man who killed Halloween, had intentionally poisoned his own son for insurance money. He was tried and convicted of murder. On March 31st, 1984, 10 years after he took his son's life, Ronald O'Bryan was executed by lethal injection. His crime sent a wave of panic across the country, forever changing the way parents viewed the simple act of trick-or-treating. Our next story brings us to Halloween 2004 in the quiet college town of Corvallis, Oregon. A 21-year-old Oregon State University student named Brooke Wilberger was cleaning lampposts at an apartment complex managed by her sister. It was a bright, sunny morning, not the dark, spooky night usually associated with Halloween horrors. But as the day wore on, Brooke's sister realized she hadn't heard from her. She went to the apartment complex and found Brooke's car still in the parking lot. Her purse and flip-flops were left by a lamppost, but Brooke was gone. A massive search began, one of the largest in Oregon's history. Thousands of volunteers combed the area, and her face was on news channels across the nation. For weeks, then months, there was no sign of her. The community held vigils praying for her safe return, but as time passed, hope began to fade. The case went cold, leaving her family and friends in a state of agonizing uncertainty. Where was Brooke? The break in the case came almost a year later in a completely unrelated investigation. Police were looking into a series of attacks on college campuses. They identified a suspect, Joel Patrick Courtney. When they searched his van, they found a hair that, through DNA testing, was matched to Brooke Wilberger. Faced with this evidence, Courtney finally confessed. He admitted to abducting Brooke from the apartment complex that morning. His story was chilling. He had driven her to a secluded wooded area just outside of town. There, he assaulted her and ended her life. He then left her body hidden in the dense forest. In a plea deal to avoid the death penalty, Courtney led investigators to Brooke's remains hidden under a decaying log in the woods. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Brooke Wilberger was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, her life stolen by a predator on a sunny Halloween morning. Her disappearance served as a terrifying reminder that danger doesn't only lurk in the dark. For our final story, we traveled to Greenwich, Connecticut, on the night before Halloween 1975. The date was October 30th, known in some parts as Mischief Night. 15-year-old Martha Moxley was out with friends, enjoying the pre-Halloween festivities in their wealthy gated community of Bellhaven. The night was filled with harmless pranks like ringing doorbells and running away. Martha and her friends ended their night at the Skakel residence, home to her neighbors, Tommy and Michael Skakel, who were the nephews of Ethel Kennedy, the widow of Senator Robert F. Kennedy. Martha was last seen leaving the Skakel house at around 9:30 p.m. to walk the short distance back to her own home. She never made it. The next day on Halloween, Martha's mother, Dorothy, began to worry when her daughter hadn't returned. After calling Martha's friends, a search began. The horrifying discovery was made that afternoon under a large pine tree on the Moxleys' own property. Martha had been brutally attacked and bludgeoned to death with a 6-iron golf club. The club was traced back to a set owned by the Skakel family. The investigation immediately focused on the two Skakel brothers, 17-year-old Tommy and 15-year-old Michael, who were the last people known to have seen Martha alive. Both boys gave inconsistent alibis. Tommy claimed he was working on a school report, while Michael said he had gone to a cousin's house. But due to the family's wealth and influence, the investigation stalled. For more than 2 decades, the case remained one of America's most infamous cold cases. No arrests were made, and Martha's killer walked free. Years passed. A book about the case, A Season in Purgatory, brought renewed attention, followed by another book, Murder in Greenwich. Finally, in 2000, new evidence surfaced. Witnesses came forward who claimed Michael Skakel had confessed to the murder years earlier, while at a substance abuse treatment center. He had allegedly boasted, "I'm going to get away with murder. I'm a Kennedy." In 2002, nearly 27 years after Martha Moxley was killed, Michael Skakel, now a grown man, was convicted of her murder and sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. However, the story doesn't end there. In 2013, a judge ordered a new trial, ruling that Skakel's original defense attorney had been inadequate. Skakel was released on bail. In 2018, the Connecticut Supreme Court vacated his conviction, and in 2020, the state announced it would not try him again. To this day, the murder of Martha Moxley remains, officially, unsolved, a shadow that has hung over that Halloween for nearly 50 years. 3 stories. 3 Halloweens that turned from a night of make-believe scares into real-life nightmares. They're a chilling reminder that the line between festive fun and genuine horror can sometimes be terrifyingly thin. Thank you so much for watching. If these stories resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that explores the darker side of history. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next video.